Welcome back for another video. It's the penultimate experts video, and as always in this one we're going to look at what the top managers are doing with data from hundreds of elite managers plus the experts team and all the rest. So kicking off with the manager highlight, it's neck and neck. There's 4 managers sitting in the top 1k right now, and it's Guy that's moved to the top spot after scoring 71 points last week. That takes him up to 296th in the world. The average overall score was 43, and among the experts it was 57. There's 16 of them now in the top 10k, and there's 61 in the top 50k. Well played if you managed to beat their average score, which was 57. Will any of them break top 100 in the world over the final 2 game weeks? Let's see. This week, 20% are going to roll into the final game week, 70% making 1 transfer, 9% are making 2, and there's 1 free hit active this week as well, so we'll have a look at that team later in the video. It's maybe one of the spiciest free hits you'll ever see. I look forward to running you through that. So yeah, only 1 in 5 of the experts are rolling this week, so who are they buying? Well, there's a clear favourite this week, it's Watkins. 62% are buying him before Spurs home and Man United away. And that makes Mateta the most sold player, 32% getting rid. Mateta does make a lot of sense to sell, given his terrible minutes as of late, plus the FA Cup final on Saturday, before Palace play on Tuesday versus Wolves. Isak's got Arsenal away as well, but he does have Everton home in Gameweek 38, so he's a bit trickier, isn't he? Given how highly owned Isak is, it has got the potential to be a game changer if he ends up getting a couple of 2-pointers and Watkins goes on to smash it. It's high risk, high reward. It's a bit of a nuanced situation for a lot of managers though, like some have got a choice to make between buying Watkins now or buying Saka in Gameweek 38 when he's got Southampton, both not affordable together for lots of teams, and that's one to really weigh up. Like, Saka in Gameweek 38 also provides an incredible captaincy option, and it'll be even lower effective ownership than Watkins this week. 4% are going for Vardy, who's 1 short of 200 Leicester goals. He's also 1 short of 150 in the Premier League. The motivation could not be higher for him individually, and he's set to leave Leicester of course at the end of the season, and he's got Ipswich home, which is a fantastic fixture. Beto is the other one to look at if you can only afford a cheap striker. He's 4.8 mil, and he's got Southampton home. Despite his 16-pointer, 8% are selling Eze. He's the 3rd most sold among the experts, yet he's the 2nd most bought overall. Crazy contrast there. There's a couple of players in here which are all really about chasing the extreme positive variants, like Madueke and Neto, both being bought by 3% each, and both should be nailed for the final 2 game weeks, and Neto probably plays striker in Jackson's absence even. Asensio is the other one. He's kind of the counterpart to the way more popular Rodgers. Go for him if you're planning to buy a Villa midfielder and you're chasing positive swings as much as possible. Ramsey is suspended, Rashford and Tielemans are out, potentially on penalties as well, even though of course he did miss a couple in Gameweek 32, so who knows. West Ham are home to Forest, which is a table bonus eligible fixture. 4% have got the assistant manager active and they're buying Potter for that one. Like, if they can pull off a 2-1 win for example, that's an 18-pointer added to your team, which is a game changer at this late stage of the season. We've seen such huge variation in chip strategies this season, which has been great. It's far better than when there's that one supposed best method. The downside to the final 3 game week assistant manager is no double game weeks to take advantage of, at least this season. The upside is you can choose your manager accordingly, because by this point you know what you really need. Like, do you need to push, or can you consolidate to a good spot in your legal rank? I wonder if they'll bring the assistant manager back or not. Would you guys like to see it next season or not? So, speaking of different chip strategies, Johnny Curry, or FPL Spaceman, is one of those managers. His free hit is active. He came 2.3k last season, 900th the year before, and right now he's 11k, right on the cusp of top 10k. I don't suppose many of you will have your free hit active, but I think you're going to enjoy the draft and how differently he's played this season. So, his team is Sanchez, O'Brien, Branthwaite, Mikalenko, and Mbumo, Palmer, Neto, Rodgers, Asensio, Wissa and Watkins. Here's what he had to say to you. Not entirely sure how I ended up with my free hit still to play with 2 weeks to go, but here we are. Final day free hit chaos was somewhat appealing, but my team looks quite good for Gameweek 38 with 2 free transfers anyway, so I've decided to play it this week and target the Friday night fixtures of Champions League chasing Chelsea and Aston Villa versus opponents potentially distracted by Europa League final in Man United and Spurs. It should provide some fun differentials, as not many will be in a spot to triple up on those teams, as well as Everton for their final game at Goodison Park versus the worst team in the league. Everton don't really have many appealing attacking options, and I wanted to load up on the attacks of Chelsea and Villa, so I've gone for an Everton defensive triple up. It's a nice way to go for a boom or bust approach too, since I should get either 0 or 3 clean sheets, assuming they all start and all play past 60 minutes. Everton are the only team with centre backs as tall as Paul Onuachu, so hopefully that counts for something. Palmer and Watkins are fairly obvious picks from Chelsea and Villa, and they'll likely be my captain and vice captain in some order, depending on which team I fancy for more goals. After Nico Jackson's red card, I think Neto's got a pretty good chance of starting as the number 9, and he should be pretty secure for minutes on the wing if not, as Sancho is ineligible to face his parent club. Despite his 2 penalty misses versus Southampton earlier in the season, Emery said Asensio is still second choice penalty taker behind Rashford, who's currently injured, so I think he's set to start and I'll probably pick him too. There aren't many teams with decent clean sheet chances this week outside of Everton, so I've gone for Sanchez as my 3rd Chelsea pick and Rodgers as my 3rd Villa. I think Chelsea's defence is a little bit better than Villa's, and Man United attack is a little bit worse than Spurs, but this could easily be Martinez and Madueke for example. Mbeumo and Wissa have been great picks for me since I tripled up on Brentford with Thomas Frank, assistant manager, Gameweek 34, and I think they're still good picks here, so I'll probably keep them both, but I do have the budget left over to upgrade one or both of them to a premium asset like Salah or Saka or Haaland. I have a few small doubts over Liverpool's motivation, Haaland's minutes after the cup final, and Newcastle being a difficult opponent, so I might just stick with the Brentford boys again. Vardy on the bench is a nice alternative too, if I want to own him one last time in FPL. On the bench, it could be anyone really. I just stuck some Wolves players in there now, as maybe Palace have won the FA Cup and they're too hungover by Tuesday to score any goals. It looks like my team will be pretty different to most managers this week if I go with something like this, so maybe it'll be enough to make up the 30 plus points I need to catch Oscar. Or it could ruin my season right at the end. How exciting. Best of luck everyone. Thank you very much Johnny, appreciate you sending in. Good luck on the free hit. It's a mad week for captaincy. There's a few Hail Marys this week. Look at this. It's the longest list of captaincies this season. Starting at the bottom, we've got Vardy, Saka, Neto, Rodgers, Haaland, De Bruyne and Bowen all being captained by one manager each. 3% going for Eze, only 5% on Salah captain. However, it is Watkins that leads with 51% this week, followed by Palmer and Mbeumo who are joint second with 18%. It really isn't obvious this week, is it? Like, gone are the days of Salah set and forget captain. And most of us don't own the top 3 here either, Watkins, Palmer and Mbeumo, so you're sort of nudged a certain way. Palmer was about 3% effective ownership in the top 10k last game week. It's going to be similar top 100k. So yeah, he provides absolutely crazy upside this week. Of course, he hasn't shown the form as of late, but if he can hit a double-digit return, it could be season-defining still. Home to Man United as well, who could have a season-defining Europa League final a few days later. It can't be understated just how important that game is for both Spurs and Man United. Not just to win silverware, but the knock-on effect there of having Champions League income versus no Europe whatsoever. How will that affect their Gameweek 37 performances? So how do FPL review projections look for this game week? Palmer's well ahead, he's on 7.9 points, and then it's Watkins 6.6, and then further down it's Haaland and Mbeumo, Asensio, Saka and Salah. Loads of names in the mix, who are you going for? Onto the experts team next, and if you're not already, make sure you hit subscribe if you appreciate the time that goes into these edits and if you want to benefit from it next week and of course future seasons. So this week the team is Raya, it's Vardy, Munoz and Konsa, Rodgers and Mbeumo, Salah, De Bruyne, Wissa, Watkins and Isak, and it's Watkins captain, and the bench is Areola, Sarr, Saliba and Livramento. So Watkins joins the team in place of Marmoush who leaves it. On the bench we've got Areola, Sarr, Saliba and Livramento as I say. We do have Rice back in training for Arsenal, which is good news if you've got defenders from them. Not so much from an Isak perspective perhaps. But we've hedged here, we've gone with Raya and Konsa, but yeah, I mean Raya and Saliba's perfectly fine. Again, if you do go double defence, that's a way to, really aggressively chase some big swings at this point in the season. How many players have you got from the experts team? The other question really is, will De Bruyne start? Now it's guesswork trying to predict what Pep's going to do. Like perhaps he starts him in the final and he's benched against Bournemouth, though it is his last ever home game, so that's a factor. Maybe he starts both. There's no place for sentiment though when every game matters, which it does right now for City. Like Aguero was benched for his last ever league game, and I mean KDB could still get a hell of a reception coming off the bench instead. But if you have him, you have to play him. Or if you've got the opportunity, then you could sell him for Palmer or Mbeumo. That's worth weighing up. Or you could keep him and then consider Saka in Gameweek 38. Experts' final thoughts and tips then. Here's what they had to say for Gameweek 37. Stuart Bryant has got some concerns about taking a late hit. Current plan is to transfer out Mateta for Watkins, although I could still take a -4 to do Isak to Watkins and Sarr to either Saka or Palmer. Obviously, with only 2 game weeks left, it's a short window for that to pay off. Jason Fleming says, manifesting Mbumo and Wissa to provide a Kane/Son masterclass this weekend. Scary Hours says, if you're trailing in your mini leagues or chasing a better overall rank, it's time to nail the right differentials. Take a moment to analyse the gap, who's ahead of you, who's in their teams, and what their likely transfer moves might be. If they're 20 plus points clear, copying their Salah and pray strategy won't cut it. To close the gap, you can't rely on players of 80+% effective ownership. You'll need to consider smart double ups, favourable fixtures, and calculated punts of high upside. Think strategically, be bold, and pray the robot gets his firmware update just in time for a hat-trick. Forza Inter says, even though I plan to bring Watkins in for Mateta this week, I'm considering captaining Salah as a way of trying to go against the content creator verse and break into the top 100k. I just have a funny feeling Mo desperately wants to bag the goals and or assists that he needs to climb above Cole and Shearer for the most single season goal assist involvements. And lastly, FPL Sis says, a limp end to the season with a regretful bench boost. Congrats to all that made it this far, only 1 week left. Thanks for watching, see you soon for the next one.